Welcome to Chapter 6 of the Pain Habit Book Club. In this series, I'm reading one chapter at a time, and this book is about the unconscious mind and the conscious mind. So, the conscious mind and its strange mate. Understanding how these two parts of the mind work together, or may not be working together, can help you understand why persistent pain becomes that way, even when logic says it shouldn't. And understanding that can help you reverse it.
The conscious mind and its strange mate. Do you think you control everything that goes on in your body and your mind? Well, the answer is yes, but you have conscious and unconscious parts of your mind working hand in hand to create your reality. Scientists believe that our unconscious mind controls about 95% of our daily activities, and the conscious part of your mind only takes control of the remaining 5%. This may come as a surprise to you, to have so much of your day controlled by a system that you're not aware of. Despite the disproportionate split, it's meant to be that way. Both aspects are equally important, but there has to be coherence and synchronicity between them for life to feel balanced and healthy. Understanding these different roles is really important. The unconscious mind is always looking to respond to the decisions of the conscious mind, adjust to the demands it makes, but provide feedback and warn it about the status of your system. The default position is balance. And the main driver for that is your survival. If your conscious decisions create an imbalance, your unconscious system makes adjustments to balance and reset the system. If the conscious system continues to make decisions that jeopardize and threaten survival, whilst the unconscious drive pushes hard to make the necessary adjustments, that disconnect between the two could cause problems. The unconscious system has a range of warnings that come through feelings that the conscious mind becomes aware of to alert it to the threat. This feedback is what we understand as the feelings we get as part of our stress response. We are allowed to be in this state for short periods to survive, concentrate, or perform well using both our physical and psychological capabilities. Staying in that state for too long depletes our resources, and we need to rest, repair, and renew to return to that balanced state. The conscious part is like the captain of the ship, making executive decisions for a journey. The unconscious part is like the engine room crew, making those decisions come to life while monitoring everything, happening during that journey. It feeds back with warnings from the radar system of icebergs or other ships and dials about the engine room on the captain's deck. Information also comes in from his officers about staff morale and department performance, so the captain can decide what to do with that information. As long as the captain monitors the feedback from that information and stays within safe limits, everyone can carry on safely. He can go faster when the conditions allow, but he may need to slow down in bad weather or change direction periodically to avoid a collision. If he just goes on full steam ahead without considering the warning system alarms, or pushes his staff to continue working without rest, then disaster is imminent. If the captain isn't paying attention, not making any decisions or making dangerous ones, the people in the engine room do what they think is best at that moment because they don't want them or the captain to drown. They can override the captain's executive decision if it ensures everyone's survival. It's a bit like mutiny, but for the crew and the captain's benefit. From the captain's perspective, the ship is directed one way or another that he hasn't decided upon. He doesn't understand why that's happened, and he's pretty mad about the crew members taking over. Once he understands why it happened and recognizes his responsibility to listen to all the warnings, to keep a happy ship, he learns and prevents that from happening again. He can push the ship to its limits occasionally, but he must not overload it or its workforce without giving them adequate rest and maintenance. As long as he does, the journey continues and everyone on the ship is healthy and happy. As long as your conscious mind recognizes that it needs to regain that balance in response to warnings, one of which is pain, health will be maintained. Hi, Dan. I'll just, is it Jacob?
Yeah.
I'll call him back. I won't be off. That's me 15-year-old, everyone. As long as your conscious mind recognizes that it needs to regain balance in response to warnings, one of which is pain, health will be maintained. Once both parts are aligned, the environment is perfect for pushing your body and mind to grow with conscious intent whilst recognizing the unconscious messages, highlighting when it's time for rest, repair and renewal. Understanding how the individual parts work, communicate and function provides an opportunity to influence them and regain the balance in our life when persistent pain illustrates that it has been lost. Conscious mind is where you make the executive decisions of your life. You choose to do things in the short and long term aligned with your wishes, desires, dreams and aspirations. It's where you live day by day. It's located just behind your forehead in a part of the brain called the prefrontal cortex. In evolutionary terms, it's much younger than the unconscious part and was developed approximately 2 million years ago. It holds information about who you think you are and the idea of yourself, and it communicates through language, speech, pictures, writing, movements, and thoughts. It's the creative hub that includes your will, intuition, imagination, reason, memory, and perception. It's like a computer monitor that as soon as anything is inputted on a keyboard, you become aware of it on the screen. You become instantly aware. And as you focus on the information, you can analyze it and take action on it should you choose to. Conscious mind can only handle a small amount of information at once. The speed at which you can process things is around 40 to 50 bits of data per second, which is a relatively small processor when you think that the brain is bombarded about 11 million bits of data per second. For being so small, it's amazingly clever imagination, which is like having a time machine that can jump forwards and backwards to any point it chooses. Think of something good from yesterday or last year, and then look forward to something good coming up. This is your conscious mind placing focus on the point in time you have selected. Aside from this, it can focus on what you are doing in this present moment, or it can focus on working out a problem. Your conscious mind is working every time you have a thought, and scientists estimate for 95% of the day, it's either forward in time, backward in time, or thinking about working something out. It's only the remaining 5% of the time that it is thinking about the present moment. So if we're not here and now thinking about the present moment, and we're the captain of our own ship not paying attention to what the ship is doing, we are relying on our crew to take charge the rest of the time based on instructions we've given it in the past. This is the role of the unconscious mind, and it runs your life based on the habits installed in you. Now, unfortunately, you are not responsible for installing all the habits you have. They develop through your early childhood without your conscious awareness, and many are copied from what you observe. So if your unconscious mind is left to its own devices, it will just run the habits installed by others unless you take the time to choose and learn new ones of your own. To change a habit, you have to understand how the unconscious mind works and how it is so different from your conscious mind. It's called the unconscious mind because you're unaware of it whilst it works. It runs the body systems that keep you alive. It does that so efficiently so that your conscious mind is free to focus on what you want. While you do that, it's beating your heart, regulating your blood pressure, running your immune system, digesting your food, keeping your body temperature stable, and many other tasks. You have no idea how to do these things. Try and raise your body temperature, blood pressure, heart rate, or metabolism right now, and you wouldn't know where to look in your mind to make that happen. It is such an amazing system that stores all the important memories and experiences of your life, and from these, your beliefs, behaviours, and habits are formed. These provide the filter through which our unconscious communicates with our conscious mind to give meaning to our experiences and interactions. It doesn't communicate in words like the conscious mind, it communicates with feelings, sensations, and dreams. It's like receiving information in a different language. that you have to learn. Beyond the instinctual feelings of fear, of loud noises and certain physical stimulus, all the other feelings for a wide array of stimulus you experience in your life have to be learned. It stores all those lessons and keeps them unconsciously recorded to use whenever that particular lesson is needed. And the context appears in your life again. If your conscious mind is focusing on something else, it only plays back to you what you have learned according to the cue that it detects. It gives us back precisely the feeling that was learned and has been associated with what the conscious mind focused on at the time and what the feeling was. It repeats that feeling every time that context is sensed, even if the conscious mind hasn't become aware of it and placed focus on it yet. Remember, there are 11 million bits of data going into the brain per second. Conscious mind's only aware of 40 to 50 bits of that data. So the 10 million plus bits are being picked up and analysed by a system that you are totally unconscious of. It can react and make changes to your body based on what it learned previously for that context before you've even consciously noticed the thing causing that change. How mad is that? It does it based on when the context arrives in that person's life again. This can be a time, a place, a person, event, a movement, or a sensation. Amazingly, the context does not even have to be real for your unconscious mind to respond. It brings back the feelings associated with whatever you are focused on. Whether you are forward or backwards in time, you get exactly the same response as if it were actually now. Its primary function is to ensure your survival, and it is constantly on and feeding back information. It responds to the environment you are currently in, but it also predicts how you would feel in the environment you are focusing on and can only base its reaction on what it has learned. Depending on what emotion was originally experienced at the point of learning is exactly what you'll feel consciously again when the context reappears. If you become aware of a pleasant or unpleasant feeling of recalling the memory, that is how you felt at the original time. If you think about experiencing that thing again, you will feel that emotion as you anticipate it. That will always be the default feeling triggered with that context until you choose to learn another one, as our brains are biased to follow the habits we already have installed. Look back to a lovely memory of a holiday or a celebration when you felt amazing at a happy time in your life. As you take yourself back in time, you are no longer present here. But what you feel in the present moment are the nice emotions that your unconscious mind brings you because your focus is on the distant memory. It's formed through the association of the event with how you felt, and the unconscious mind wires those two things together, so when you think of one of them again, the other is also triggered. This works for good or bad times. If you walk past an alleyway with a friend and they said their heart had started beating really fast, you may wonder why. Once they explain it was where they were robbed a year ago, it makes more sense. The sensation for that person is absolutely real, but real now, but based on an unconscious prediction of what may happen next in that context. Even though the threat is not real now, the brain recognizes the potential of it for that person. Persistent pain works in exactly the same way. Your system wants to associate things that felt good or bad and get you to avoid or do them again, depending on whether you believe that thing is good or bad. It uses that learning from the past to bring meaning to your present situation or to help you predict how you'll feel as you anticipate your future. The unconscious part of your mind doesn't understand that you've jumped forward or backwards in time. It only works in the present moment and doesn't have the ability to offer judgment or see things as good or bad. It responds to your decision and gives feedback on how you felt or should feel with that thought. The weird thing about your unconscious mind is that because it's so powerful, it can pick up through your senses so much more of your environment that you are aware of. Even though you may not consciously recognize or become aware of something you've seen, heard, touched, smelled, or tasted, it has the capability to respond to things you haven't even consciously sensed. If it picks up a contextual cue for a previous threat, it can trigger the physiological changes it learned at that time. This can make you feel something even though you may not understand why. That feeling gets you to assess why you're experiencing that in the present moment and search for the meaning of it. If it makes sense, then you have understanding. If it doesn't, that raises your conscious level of concern about what you're experiencing without adequate explanation of it. Remember the captain seeing his ship go off course and feeling shocked by it. The unconscious mind is regulating a multitude of systems whilst you pay attention to, or you think about something bad from the past or worry about something in the future. Those thoughts contain the contextual cues for the unconscious to trigger feelings associated with them. It has to assess the overall risk of that physiological state it's going into and work out how long it can function at that level. If it's a threatening thought for a real situation, that's perfect for a short period when high physical or psychological performance is required. But if it is going to a threatened physiological state now, based on a conscious thought placed in the past or the future, or through unconscious recognition of a cue linked to a previous threat, the brain essentially sets off a false alarm that is felt throughout your body. The trouble is, it doesn't know it's false. And what's worse is when the conscious mind becomes aware of that response and believes it's real, then the alarm goes up even more. It is the captain of the ship's duty to interpret that message correctly. But if he sees that physiological response and misunderstands it as something threatening in itself, that focus sets off more alarms, more stress hormones. Danger approaches because of the detrimental effects of those hormones circulating with the alarming stress response over the longer term. The unconscious mind has to monitor the behavior stimulating those hormones. If that conscious focus and behavior continues, it pushes your system further towards a point of threat. The unconscious system has to find a way of getting your conscious attention to modify that behavior or to change focus to reduce the level of stress you are unknowingly causing yourself. It has a range of options linked to the stress response that we become aware of to alert us to a threatening situation. Pain is one of the most effective warnings we have that makes us take action. This is the basis for why we misunderstand the experience of persistent pain. It is your brain and body unconsciously recognizing a trigger or cue that you have not consciously picked up on. That has arisen through your excessive focus on past, present, or future negative thoughts and sees them as a threat. Persistent pain becomes a dysfunctional protective habit that makes absolute sense to the unconscious mind because it's only responding to what it's learned. It is desperately attempting to get the captain to change course. Until he truly recognizes the message and takes responsibility for his actions, the regulatory survival mechanism has no option other than to take control of the ship, maintaining the alarm, and prevent him from pushing into destruction. It is the unconscious behaviors which form habits that lead to the pain, but the person has developed them unwittingly. Once you understand how he developed these habits and where you got them, you can choose to change them and let go of your pain.
Thanks for joining me in chapter 6 of the Pain Habit Book Club. If you found any of the insights in this chapter helpful, let me know. If you have any questions, ask away and I'll do my best to answer them. The link to the book's in the description. If you want to subscribe to follow on with any other chapters, then go ahead and do that. Until the next time, be curious, be kind, and let both parts of your mind work together to help you.